would say, "So mean." Oh, delete. Except it doesn't really sound like her. Chasing is got a sick kid, so we're gonna play this. She might pop in or something. I don't really know, but I know that we were gonna play the Stanley Beidleman interview. It's really crazy, so I'm gonna play it here in a minute. Really, it's one of the craziest sounding interviews you've ever. You end up sort of liking him because he's so crude, and I don't know why that would make you like somebody, but also, I guess there's a new piece of surveillance. I saw an image of it, and Chasing mentioned it. It's on the. That's Beidleman case, but let me just show you. In the Heidi Plank case, really quick. Just a quick update on that one. Now, somewhere in this interview, let me hit.
Difficult day for Heidi Plank's family as her young son celebrated a birthday without his mother. Kicking on Stacey Butler has more in efforts to find her tonight.
Hey, thank you, Ashley.
We're definitely tired, but we won't stop.
As Heidi Plank's friends continue to put up flyers for the missing mom, this time in West LA, tonight they have one thing on their mind.
Heidi's son, whose birthday is today, and the best gift we could give him would be to bring his mom home.
Today of all days, especially, he's on our mind, he's in our hearts.
On his 11th birthday, friends say he's
Oh, it's
home
an echo
with
in?
his
Hold
dad,
on.
Jim Wayne.
Just having a quiet night with family. It's been a pretty emotional time.
It's been
That
nearly
should be better
3
now.
weeks and still no sign of the 39-year-old last seen on this security tape leaving for her son's football game. Her ex-husband Wayne says he suspects her disappearance may be linked to her job as the financial controller of Camden Capital Partners, a local investment company. Her boss, Jason Sugarman, and others are being investigated
So there's
by
a
the
new
Securities
piece
and
of
Exchange
footage
Commission
outside that
for
house.
stealing $43 million
We were wondering if
from
there's any
unwitting
other
pension funds.
footage on that
Law
camera.
enforcement has not said Sugarman is connected to Heidi's disappearance in any way. We obtained this security tape from outside Heidi's home in Palms a day or two after she was last seen. Neighbors confirm it is Jason Sugarman. He appears to ring her doorbell, then leaves muffins on the doorstep. As LAPD detectives continue to investigate her.
So what's interesting is they're saying that they obtained the security footage a couple days after she disappeared. I'm not sure if they're saying that that's from a couple days after they disappeared, or they obtained.
Friends
Let me
won't
do that
stop
again.
the search.
Either it's foul play
I
and we
can't-
fear the
yeah.
worst, or
Doesn't look
she's
like it has a
smart and she's
line.
hiding somewhere for a reason that is yet to be determined.
Heidi's friends tell me they're going to keep on posting.
Yeah, so it's either he was dropping off the muffins a couple days after she disappeared, or they obtained the footage a couple days after she disappeared. I didn't really hear it that well, but either way, it's kind of odd, right? I mean, did he really always go over there and drop off muffins? And just look at the timing of that. So you would say, it's a really lame alibi if that's what he's trying to do. Like, wow, I couldn't have killed her. That's why I dropped off some muffins. Look at everybody. I dropped off muffins. Therefore, I couldn't have killed her, because why would you drop off muffins to somebody who isn't alive? Right? I mean, I think, if that's what he's really going for with that, wow. That's crazy, but it very well could be, right? Very well could be. So that's really the only new piece of information. We could make. We're gonna try to do the show on this case tomorrow, and go over it and talk back and forth. I'm trying to get her to look at the chat a little bit less, because it's. I always tell her that the chat is like crack. I'd like to. Me and her got to go back and forth about stuff, because it's and then at some point you look at the chat, right? I know that might be frustrating for you, but for me it gets kind of disjointed when you're in the middle of a conversation, and then I might, let's say I look at the chat. Oh wait, hey, and then she's in the middle of a sentence. It's like it doesn't work that well. All right, so I'm going to play the Beidleman interview now. Okay, it's just totally raw, right? So you're going to be missing. You're not going to have it just all beautifully edited out. You know, so he actually, I think he called me back or something, and I was caught off guard. I was watching TV, and there's audio, and I didn't have his number memorized or anything like that. Well, she's taking care of her kid who's sick. All right, but we were gonna play this at some point, anyways, and she might pop on. I give her the Zoom link. If she just randomly shows up in there, then she does. But if not, mainly you're just gonna be listening to the audio, anyways. All right. Man, I haven't seen Gen B in a million years on my channel. Let's see. I'm gonna play this over here. I'll just play it from over here. So it's a little bit weird when there's only. Wait, so this one is. Yeah. All right, here we go. So I might blank myself out off the screen too. Here we go. Hello? Can you hear me? Oh, can you hear me? Should I move my lips as if I'm doing?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who am I speaking with here? Stanley?
You know, yes.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't have your number memorized, but it's coming in on my phone.
It's okay. Just come on and talk to me.
It's like a year ago, by the way. Okay. Yeah, I was actually just calling because I covered the case a while back on my show, and it just seems like it's one of those ones that just disappeared, and nobody's covered it since. And I was wondering if you could give me a perspective on it. Thank you. All these years later.
Are you talking to me live now?
No, I'm not. That's 4 days ago, Chad. Yeah.
I mean, am I in contact with you now?
What do you mean by that?
Am I on a voicemail or what?
No, you're just talking to me on Skype. I'm talking to you.
Okay, all right. Ask me your questions.
Yeah, that was.
How could we?
Well, I just wanted to know if you can remember back to that time.
How could we be on voicemail together? I'm communicating with you. That'd be weird. That I had it all scripted out.
You know anything that they've been doing in the years since to try to figure that case out, or?
Okay. I remember every single thing.
Oh wait, before I keep going on here, I want to say thank you to Chasing and everybody else who did that surprise live for me. And then I watched the live where near the end, you guys were talking about the Bibb County John Doe, and I mean, it was so cool to see like this genuine excitement over something that, and a lot of the people that watch my channel watch her channel and have donated to my channel as well. So a lot of the funds that people have donated from both the channels have funded lots of we've donated a lot of money to charity, and also it was just one of the most amazing things ever to have funded the solving of the genetic genealogy in the Bibb County John Doe. That's probably giving the name back to Daniel was just like, yeah, it was just amazing. Best feeling I've ever had in the true crime world. All right, so it was so cool to see everybody over here so supportive of that. There really hasn't been a lot of true crime channels that have even brought it up, which is, it's not surprising at all. They'll talk about the drama and how everybody should back everybody when there's drama and all this kind of bullshit, but they don't care when somebody does something that's actually worthwhile and does something. It's really pretty bizarre, to be honest with you. But anyways, thank you guys very much for showing up and showing the support. I watched it. It was really amazing. So here we go.
About that whole month.
He remembers everything.
And I'm just the homicide department from Columbus, Ohio was out here about a month ago, and I talked to them honestly without a lawyer, and I answered every question that they asked me. the moment that they asked me. I've never had a lawyer during this whole thing because I'm old school. You don't need a lawyer to tell the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of times, though. Yeah, go ahead.
And I'm just answering any and all questions related to that homicide that anybody asked me. But the day that...
I mean, you guys are all remember this case, right? We covered it a week or two ago, and if you didn't watch it, I'm sorry, but we went over the whole thing. Janice and her son were murdered back in like 1981, I believe. After just kind of doing regular things, visiting family, and then they were going to go to a store. Obviously, the store was actually closed at the time that they were going to go to the store, and then their bodies were found under a bridge near their vehicle. It was really bizarre, and there was a scream heard in the neighborhood, and, unbelievable. And Stanley's the husband, and he's been a person of interest. And believe it or not, you'll hear in here that when I was talking to him, just prior to that, 4 detectives flew all the way from Ohio to Texas, where he lives, to interview him again. After all these years, they were just there. So, anyways, here we go.
Janice and Brandon were found. I answered questions for the city, and I answered questions for the state.
Yeah, this is why I hate reading chat. Too Many Jules says, he sounds so sympathetic with no concern at all. And then Cher Bear says, he sounds defensive. See, yeah, it's just everybody has something different.
And at that time, there was where Janice and Brandon's bodies were found were in between two different jurisdictions. And so I answered questions from the county police. I answered questions for the city police. And I don't have anything to hide behind, and I will answer any question that you have to answer me.
Yeah, but I agree with what Too Many Jules said. That he just seems like... I mean, just listen to him in a minute. It's crazy. Yeah, well, I'm just calling just to get your perspective. In the newspapers back then, they did have a few articles, and it was talking about how you had just lost your job at I think like
no, I worked at General Motors for 43 years. You get laid off.
Oh, laid off. That's what's interesting about this guy is that the article made him sound good, like, oh, he got laid off, and Janice actually encouraged him to go ride his motorcycle that day, and but he actually disputes the things that make him look better, because they're not true, he said.
Yeah, during your first 10 years in a production plant or a stamping plant, manpower is dictated week by week from Detroit. This was a stamping plant. This week they need 2,600 people. This week they only need 2,000. So I got laid off and on for my first 10 years at General Motors. I'm at 43 years now. And if the plant that I work at now closes, I'll be the guy that locks the gate.
Yeah, you pretty much have been there the whole time. I actually bought...
Yeah.
I bought GM stock just recently. So keep on trucking.
Yeah.
It's doing well, the stock.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm 63 years old with 43 years of seniority. I've never done anything but work my entire life. I showed my stepkids through the years. I've been working and holding down a job that I clocked in and clocked out of since I was in the 7th grade at Linmore Junior High School in Columbus, Ohio. I've never been unemployed for more than a month because I'm a talented guy. I'm a welder. I'm a marine mechanic. I'm a diesel mechanic, and I'm even worked at a Chevrolet dealership.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. Just to let you know, just so I'm clear, I have never, I'm not suspicious of you whatsoever. I've never even thought of that when I was reading the articles or anything like that. I don't know if you get that.
That motherfucking cops in Columbus always made me feel like I was under suspicion. They were here at my apartment a month and a half ago or whatever. I'm getting out of my car, coming home from work, and I got 4 people walking up at me as I'm getting out of my car, letting me know that they were homicide detectives from Columbus, Ohio. And I really didn't give a fuck because I ain't done shit.
Yeah. Were there questions that they asked suspicious sounding, or were they just really?
The questions that they asked immediately let me know that they're still looking at me. I'm just an everyday working guy. I took care of Janice from high school until she was murdered. I bought her clothes. I bought her shoes. I took care of our son. And for the very, very, very first time, they were bringing Brandon's paternity into the equation. And Brandon was born December the 19th of 1979 at the Ohio State University Hospital. I was there when he was born. I watched him slide out of his mother's womb. I signed his birth certificate. And from that day on, I was his father. His paternity was never in question until the homicide detectives came here. I want to say 5 weeks ago. Never. It was never, ever, ever. There was never, ever, ever a time that his paternity was in question.
Huh. Well, what about? I think what they're questioning though is whether or not you're the biological father when they say that.
I'm telling you. In 1979, we didn't have Maury Povich, okay?
Yeah.
You're sleeping with the same girl 2-3 times a day, 7 days a week, except when she was out on her period. We were having sex. I was 22 or 24. I was 24. She was 22. We was at it every chance we got. So Brandon's paternity was never, ever, ever, ever fucking in question.
Why do you think they might be asking that at this point?
Because these are the days and the times. I'm going to tell you this one more time. You got shows on TV where this woman is 110% sure that this guy is her baby's daddy. Well, we didn't have that bullshit in 1979. And I want you right now to forgive me for my language because I'm a little bit pissed off.
Oh, I understand.
We didn't have this. We didn't have all this bullshit on social media and all over TV where you've been with this woman 6 or 7 years, you got 2 or 3 fucking kids, and one of them ain't yours. We didn't have this bullshit in 1979. She told me she was pregnant. I went with her to the doctor's visits. I was there when Brandon came out of her womb. I was there. I caught him. I named him. I signed his birth certificate, and he came home with us 2-3 days later, and he was my son. There was never, ever, ever, not once, ever, during their investigation that his paternity was in question.
I wonder if they've done some sort of like DNA.
I don't really give a fuck. They kept asking me about DNA, and I fucked her the morning that she died sometime that night, that Sunday night, We had sex that Saturday night. We had sex that Sunday morning, and they want to give me this bullshit about, well, we found your fingerprints all over her car. Well, that was my motherfucking car.
Right, and it's also reasonable that you would have sex with your wife.
No, you shit. When you're 24 years
Yeah.
old, you getting some pussy every chance you get.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why we got married.
Yeah.
And the morning of that Sunday morning, I'm gonna slow myself down. That Sunday morning, we had sex, we had breakfast, we cleaned up the kitchen, we went out. We lived in an apartment, and we went out front.
See, I told you guys. I told you. But it's pretty. I don't know. You end up liking him the way he is, you know.
And we cleaned out her car. We wiped her car down, and she took me to my play brother's house, and his name is tattooed on my arm. We were very close at the time. That's where I kept my motorcycle, because I am a biker. I am a true biker. But my motorcycle spent the nights at my play brother's garage on Germain Drive in Brittenell. After we cleaned up her car, she took me to go get my motorcycle, and she kissed me goodbye, and she said, "I love you, Pooh," not boo, Pooh, P-O-O-R. I kissed her goodbye. And she told me she loved me. I told her I loved her, and her and Brandon left me to go over her aunt's house.
Can I ask a question real quick in there? So the reason,
yes,
is in the newspaper it says that because you were laid off, you were a little bit down, like, wow, you know, I'm not going to be able to. And
bullshit.
That's what it said in the paper.
Bullshit.
Well, it just said that you.
Well, see,
okay.
That's what put the light on me, was the bullshit in the paper.
Well, that didn't make me feel like you know what I said on my show when I did it a few months back was that it seemed like you guys just had a really loving relationship. It was just that you were maybe down and you were supposed to go on your bike ride, and she said,
No. I got to stop you.
Oh, okay. Huh. See, that's what's so weird is, like, it makes him look better. You know, that it literally, in the paper it said that, you know, he was just kind of down because he was laid off or was out of work. And she said, you know, why don't you go on a bike ride? You know, it was a good thing. But he's like, no, you know, so that's what makes him seem more honest, you know, because he's even denying stuff that makes him look better.
The first 10 years I worked at General Motors, out of my 43 years, I would work 3 months, be off 2 months, work 6 months and be off 4 months, work a year and be off a year. But I always had employment. I was a talented young man. I'm a talented old man. I started welding when I was 14. I'm a diesel mechanic, a marine mechanic, and an automobile mechanic, and a welder. I've always made good money, and I always provided for Janice. Janice was 22 years old when she died. I had purchased her 2 cars from the time we started dating. She was 16, I was 18 or 19. And I always provided for her. Janice was the only female in her family that had a baby by a guy, got married, baby's name had daddy's name, mama, aunt, grandmother. None of them broads had no husband. Janice always had money in her pocket, and she always had a car. And I'm a dude that always had some smooth-ass rides. In those days, in that neighborhood, you were judged by what you drove. And I drove a fly-ass ride, and so too did my wife.
Now the Chevy
when
Vega.
You saw she had I think it was a 75 Chevy Vega. It was orange with a white vinyl top with a plaid interior. that ran. We drove that car from Columbus, Ohio to Bristol, Virginia a couple of times just for the hell of it. Janice was the only female in her family that was living better than her mother, because we were a very young couple, but we both worked and we lived in a very nice apartment complex, and we were not broke. Yeah, fuck yeah. I had got laid off that Friday. She got killed sometime that Sunday night or that Monday morning. I don't know. And their visit here was like, oh, well, we understand that you were violent and you and Janice fought. Fuck you, motherfucker. Janice's stepfather was Alex Malone. We and his family called him Bay Bruh. He was, Bay is for short for baby, and Bruh was short for brother. Bay Bruh. Mm-hmm. He was 6'1", 280 pounds. He was the nicest guy on the planet till you piss him off. And if I had ever put my hand on Janice in a negative way, he would have broke my fucking neck.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
You got that?
Yeah, so let me I'm just trying to get with the articles. So you're saying the articles weren't really, some of them weren't accurate, but it was talking about, let me just say the parts that it's saying. Yeah. So in part of the articles it said that you on that day, you guys didn't have very much money, so you gave her some of your money, and then she bought you got some gas, and then you gave her kind of the rest of your money or whatever. Just a small amount. I mean, I'm just trying to. There's these little details that are in there that don't seem. They're not really. They're not really relevant.
Bring it.
Yeah, they're not really that relevant. It. Yeah, so that's all there is like that.
Just bring it. Just bring it.
And then after that, you go to your friend's house, and she drops you off, and then she goes and starts visiting various friends, and it goes home at one point. But maybe you can lead through. Just go through that from the part that she drops you off at your friend's house. Forward.
I don't see her no more after that. That's the last time I ever see her. The last thing she ever said to me was, "I love you, Pooh," and I kissed her, hugged her, because we were an affectionate couple, because we had been, even though we were just in our early 20s, we had been together since we were teenagers. And that's just like these cops asking me about, her sexual assault. Nobody ever talked to me about her sexual assault. And I kept asking this one cop, he was so all over the sexual assault. Are you like big enough to tear her or damage? I'm fucking her with the same dick I've been fucking her with since she was 16.
Yeah, so they were talking about how she was assaulted.
Yeah, so don't come giving me that shit about she was tore up and this was disrupted and that. Don't give me that shit. I got the same dick today at 63 that I had at 17.
And you guys were married, so I don't know why you would have to assault
we were married,
somebody.
And I'm like, and it was just like, at the end of the day, who threw me under the bus with the press and everybody else was her Aunt Diane West. She was a single mother of two, never been married, on welfare, and she had Janice out selling plasma. That came up during the investigation. They're like, why is Janice selling plasma? I'm like, what the fuck is plasma? I'm 24 years old. I've never donated no blood. I'm not no medical student. I'm a fucking welder. What the fuck are you talking about plasma? And I didn't know nothing about it. And the one thing that I put on these cops' fucking mind when they came down here to Texas to see me without a warning was Janice had a car. Janice had a man that kept money. I mean, just because you ain't got $300 or $400 in your pocket don't mean you don't have money. just like you just said,
Yeah.
we split up the little money we had so she could go do her thing and I go do my thing. And she always did her thing with her Aunt Diane, her mother. It's like I could give Janice $150 to go to the grocery store, and she'd come back with one bag because she's done spent money to buy groceries for her mother, her brother, and her younger sister, and her stepfather, who did not work, to eat. And it was like I never could understand why they would think that I would kill. We had a little bullshit on the job $5,000 life policy, and it was just enough to bury her. Now, I was even paying unknowingly a life insurance policy that her mother cashed in on and fixed her house up and bought a fucking car. I didn't know nothing about it. And it was one of those deals where I'm so focused on going to work, paying the bills, keeping up these two cars, and a wife that worked for a little while and didn't work, worked for a little while and didn't work. And when she worked, her income went to her mother, bailing out her mother. Her mother was a bartender, and shortly before Janice died or was murdered, she became an employee of the Ohio State University, I think in food service. But she never.
Yeah, that made me kind of suspicious of the mother's. I mean, what's going on there? A secret life insurance policy on her own kid? I don't know. That was a little bit suspicious sounding.
Had nothing. And I'm 18 years old, 19 years old, and I'm the difference between them having hot dogs and having pork chops for dinner. Taking bales of clothes to the laundromat to do the laundromat. And then me and Janice had broke up at one point because it was like every time I come over to her house, she lived on 18th Avenue, I lived on 16th Avenue. And every time I went by to see her, which was daily, we had to go to the laundromat. We had to go to the grocery store. We had to go pick so-and-so up. We had to go drop so-and-so off. And I stopped. I was like feeling like I was being used. And her mother actually apologized to me. I was a mechanic, and I kept her mother and her stepfather's cars running because they were driving shit. Me and Janice, my mother worked at Ohio State University Hospital as a food server for 26 or 28 years. And Janice's mother always had a job, but she was quick, swift. She was a bartender. She was beautiful. Janice was beautiful. And she was tricking men out of money. And
yeah.
But I didn't have nothing to do with that. But I kept them going. I'm telling you, I'm a young dude. Today, I'm 63 years old. I walk around with $5,000 or $6,000 in my pocket every fucking day. But I don't drive no new Cadillac. I don't live in no $1,800 a month house. I've had clothes, jewelry, hair, a bitch around the way for years. Now, did I lose you?
No, I'm still here. I'm just listening.
I got another message while I'm talking to you. And, but now, you know, I'm an old settled dude. And I go to work. I get off work. I go to the bar, have a couple of drinks, shoot some pool, tell some fucking lies, talk some shit, go get something to eat, come home, take a shower, eat dinner, and I'm in bed by 8 o'clock, okay? Yep. I'm up at 4 in the morning. I leave out at 5 going to work. I don't have to be to work till 6, but I'm settled in my life, and all this bullshit has come up in the last month or so. My apartment is tore to hell behind this winter storm that we had. I just got my water back 2 weeks ago, but my bathroom is still tore up, blah, 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 blah. But I got all this shit going on, and then I got the police and you coming at me. Where the fuck did y'all get my number? Da 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 da.
Well, I'm not really coming at you. I was just calling you because I sometimes I do shows where the.
I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna answer and give you a comment on anything that you ask me. I'm not afraid. I'm an old man now.
Well, let me ask you this: what do you? You probably don't have it memorized, like where she went after she dropped you off, right? That's all.
Here's the thing: these cops that roll up in here on my ass, they was like, "Well, her friends say you this and her bullshit." Janice only dealt with her aunt Diane and her aunt Robin, her mother, and her grandmother. I never met any of Janice's friends, and they didn't meet me. Janice was the meal ticket for these welfare bitches. She was the one with the car that could take you to the welfare office, take you to the food stamp office, take you to the grocery store where you get the best value for your food stamps while I was at work.
Yeah.
I was the meal ticket for these welfare hoes.
Yeah.
Because Janice had gas. Janice had a good running car and a good looking car at that, because they had to sit beside my car in front of our apartment.
Well, what do you think happened back then? Given the information that you did know, because I'm trying to. It's such a crazy thing. Like, she was supposed to go to that store. She was supposed to go to that store, but it was probably closed when she got there. And
see, in this store that you're talking about, I never heard of.
Like Kroger's or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, I understood back then that she had went to a Kroger Save-On, and that was possibly where she was snatched. But I don't know, because it was, I want to say, between 11 and 1 when she dropped me off. And she always went to her Aunt Diane's house, which was an apartment in what they called at the time Brick City, which was the Windsor Terrace housing project.
Yep. I have it all. I actually have a timeline that was in the newspaper of all the different places, like Diane's house on 1048 Bonham Avenue. And
right.
Yeah. And then Janice's mother.
Yeah, but they wanted to put in that timeline, and that was, what kind of put me under scrutiny, was that there was enough time for me to do something to Janice and get back home or whatever. And like when the cops were here, I told them I didn't read the newspaper deals. My mother, my sister, and all. I had 3 aunts and an uncle that lived in Columbus at the time, which are all deceased, that put me in a bad light. I'm a working guy married to a girl, and this was the thing. This one cop, and he, I'll never talk to him again. He can kiss my ass. But he brought up Brandon's paternity, and that Janice was a cheater, and I was a mad husband because she was a cheater. Well, you just shoot the bitch. You just strangle her.
Yeah, there wouldn't be a sexual assault.
Yeah, you do it at home.
And then also, why would you kill you wouldn't kill the... See, what they're doing, I think what the deal is, they're trying to do the paternity thing because they're having a hard time explaining why somebody would kill a kid. But then, hey, if it's not your kid and you're really angry and all that stuff.
And here's the thing. What's your name?
My name is Gray, like the color. Yeah.
Gray. Your name is Gray. Gray, I'm going to tell you this. If I had known that Brandon was not my son, he would have never known.
Hello? What happened? Oh, that's right. I think there's a disconnect for a little bit here. I get back a hold of him again. Sometimes. See, it's just raw. It's a raw video, so. Or audio.
Hello?
Yeah, somehow it just dropped. It went bloop.
Okay. But in those days, we did not have Maury Povich. We did not have DNA. Here's the thing. I get off at 2 o'clock every afternoon, and about 3, Maury Povich comes on. And it's one of the shows I watch on YouTube. It's one of the shows I watch when I get off from work. But Brandon's fraternity was never, ever in question. It was never, ever.
It was not something you were concerned about. And even if it turns out.
I didn't know nothing about it. Yeah. I didn't know. She told me she was pregnant. I went with her to as many doctor visits as I could be. I came home from work when she went in labor. Her mother wanted to be in the delivery room, and she was acting a nigger. And this nurse said, Miss Foster, let me talk to you over here. And another nurse whisked me into the delivery room so that I could be there. Okay?
Yeah. No, I mean, I get all. I get all that.
And so, if Janice had been allowed to be at her apartment, finely furnished, all utilities on, refrigerator full of food, instead of being down to her broke-ass mother's house or her broke-ass aunt's house, she would still be here today living.
Well, Stanley's black, so he can say those things. If I was, if I could just give advice out there, I would say to never use those words at all, even if you're a black person, even the A version at all. Because if you want it to be removed from society, the words, then don't say them. Like, don't put them in rap songs. Don't say it all the time. When you say it every single day, people start throwing it out there. But if you're, so if you want it removed from society, quit saying it. Okay.
Living in a mansion, paid for, with 2 or 3 college-educated kids. But no, she had to be down there in the hood.
Gotta love Stanley. Yeah.
How about that? So I'm going to answer any question and give you all the conversation you want, and I'm absolutely hoping you're recording it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing when I record something, it's mainly for me to be able to go listen to again and put something together in order.
Well, whatever you do with it's okay with me, because I got nothing to hide.
See, I got permission
to tell you but the truth.
Give me permission.
But at the same time, I'm gonna be honest with you, Gray. I done got a little bit angry.
No, I can understand getting angry.
I took care of a bunch of broke motherfuckers, and then as soon as Janice is dead, I'm this terrible guy. But I'm gonna tell you what, her stepfather, and you look it up, you call the police, do the research, Alex Malone. We called him Babe Ruth, and he actually saved my life one time. I had a couple of guys pull up on me in front.
Wow, Chasing's like the best moderator that's ever lived. I mean, look at it, just boom, boom, boom. Thank you, ding, ding, ding. Here's a link, ding, 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 ding. Man, it's unreal. Have you ever been a moderator for?
At Janice's house when I was about 19. Because they were using a fraudulent credit card, and the credit card company told me to cut the card in half, and they got mad. And so they ran up on me because, like I told you a little while ago, I drove some fly-ass rides. I was not hard to find. And they rolled up on me with a pistol in front of Janice's house as I was getting out. And anytime a car rolled up in front of their house, Babe Ruth looked out the window, and when he saw me confronted by 3 guys, he came out with a shotgun, and they took off. I never heard or saw from them no more. But if I had ever, and he slept with Janice's mother every night. He didn't work. He didn't provide. He was a gambler that wasn't very good, but he did not let them boys mess with me. And he liked me because I kept his car running, and I was good to Janice. And this bullshit about me being abusive to Janice, if I had ever set a hand on Janice and he heard about it, he wouldn't have killed me, but he would have made me kill myself.
Yeah. What do you remember from back at that time? Like right when it happened, what were your feeling?
Right away, okay. That day, I woke up. It was 4-something in the morning, and she wasn't home. I jumped on my motorcycle, and I went to 4 or 5 places I thought she might be, and she was not there. So I get home about 6 or so in the morning, and I called my sister, and I called my mother. We are military brats. We follow the law. We follow the rules. My mother and my sister immediately came to our apartment. We called hospitals. We called jails. And it got to the point, and then I ride around again, and I ain't finding her. So I grow up in a community where we have, at that time, cops, police officers that we could trust. I had a police officer, and he was a sergeant, Terry Ellis, and I knew that he ate lunch every day at a place called Dog and Suds. It was a place that sold coney dogs and
beer.
root beer float.
Oh, root beer. Okay.
And I went there, and his car was there. And I told him what was going on. My wife didn't come home. I'm scared. She didn't leave no note. I don't know what to do. He reassured me that everything was going to be all right. He took notes, and he left. After that, now that was around between 11:30 and 12:30 in the morning or afternoon. At 4 o'clock that afternoon, I was so upset because my mother's done went back home, my sister's done went back home. We're looking all over for her, and at right around 4 o'clock that afternoon, I called the fucking FBI. I called the FBI, and they told me there was nothing that they could do for me until they got something from the city or the state. And probably a half hour after that, I had a classmate call me and tell me that this thing is on the news. So I jump on my motorcycle and I go to the spot that's designated where she's been found. And when I get there, it's down a ravine into Alum Creek underneath a bridge. Mm-hmm. I have a state investigator grab me by my lapels and tell me, you can't go down there. You cannot go down there. And he was a black officer, and he told me, I don't care what goes on, do not say anything to anybody. And so I went back up to the road, which was Sunbury Road, and I wait. And then my play brother comes, and he takes my motorcycle back to his garage, and then I ride downtown with the state police. I give them an interview, and then there is a law, and it was the city was saying it was the state, and the state was saying it was the cities because of a boundary line. And the first detectives I talked to for the state, I don't remember their names because it was very brief. But then when I went to the Columbus Police Department, I talked to 2 detectives, and one detective was named I just said it in my last interview. Litfinger and Detective Cup. And we had extensive interview, and they had me in an interview room with the door closed, and it got very hot. And so I asked them, would it be okay if I took my shirt off? I had on a wife beater. I asked them, would it be okay if I took my shirt off? And I took my shirt off, and I didn't have a scratch on me anywhere or nothing. And then they're asking me now, well, did they take photographs? There was nothing to fucking photograph. You got a 110-pound guy, stick man, in a wife beater. He ain't got a scratch on him nowhere, but Janice has been through this battle before she dies. And they gave me a lie detector test, and I leave. Now this cop shows up here last month, telling me, "Oh, you failed your lie detector test miserably. Do you want to know the questions that you failed?" And I'm like, "Fuck no." The only question I may have failed was when they asked me, "Do you think you know who killed Janice and Brandon?" And when you're in that situation, you got all kind of shit running through your head, and then they want to make out like, and I'm keeping it real. At the time, I was a very powerful biker, but I wasn't into drugs, guns, or nothing like that. I'm a guy that everybody respected and loved because we did for the homeless, we did for the poor. My motorcycle club specifically was into caring for abused women. Your boyfriend beats you up, we come and kick his fucking ass and tell him stay away from you. We did that. I admit to that.
Yeah.
When in the early and mid '80s, when your boyfriend's whooping your ass, you go to the Rare Blood Motorcycle Club and they'll bring that shit to a stop. And but I wasn't no drug lord. I wasn't running guns. I wasn't pimping whores. And all these things were available to me at the time in a big way. I was a dude with money, nice cars, nice place to live, beautiful fucking wife. I had a beautiful fucking wife, and all of my brothers treated her like a little sister. My Janice was a queen. Janice was a queen because she was married to a king. And all this, we got reports of motorcycles following her around. That's bullshit. Man, fuck you motherfuckers. And I'll never talk to anybody from the Columbus Police Department again. And I don't give a fuck. Well, what would you do if you found out who killed Janice? Have you found a motherfucker with his nuts cut off and his dick shoved down his throat?
Yeah.
I'm just telling you. I'm telling you the truth.
No, I know you.
Well, your boys could have did this. Your boys could have did that. My boys mourned and stayed over me for 10 fucking weeks. Janice got killed on September 14th or 13th. There was somebody with me a whole fucking year.
Well, let me ask you this: if she was assaulted, didn't they collect the DNA? You know, the semen.
They didn't have no DNA in 1981.
Right, but they do. They can still collect it and store it. Like there's so many cases.
Yeah. But
there's been a lot
I don't know nothing about that. I'm a cop. I gave them my.
Yeah, I don't know why people are questioning where they were found. We've gone over this, but yeah, it's right here, Angler Road. They were found. Janice was found right down here, next to her car, and then Brandon's body was in the water. Apparently, he was smothered by the same pillow that his brother had put him on in the car earlier. And prior to that, there was a car that went through this barricade right here, and there were screams, and apparently ended up, this is where they ended up. They think that was her. You can see that you could get there. I don't know if this used to be a road or what that used to be, but now it's a path that you can go on. All right. Yeah, but we've covered this whole thing on another episode. So, every case isn't, the Summerwells or, Brian Laundrie. Okay. So whenever we put other videos up, you should take the time to watch them because they're just as interesting and need more attention than those other ones. Okay. That's the truth. All right. So let's keep playing.
DNA, I gave them my fingerprints, and they kept asking me about having sex with Janice, and I kept telling them I fucked her every chance I got.
Yeah. Well, let me just finish. Let me just say this part.
Yeah.
See, I cover a lot of cases, and there's been a lot of cases that have been solved, even from 1960 something, on DNA. So it seems like if she was assaulted, your DNA and whoever assaulted her would be a mixture in there. How ironic was that? Because I did this interview a year before the Bibb County case, and I don't know if Chasing's still watching, but since you came in later, I wanted to thank you for your surprise live and then what you were saying on the live prior to the doing the surprise live. Watched that thing and I felt so good, like it just, okay, wow, people actually get it. So, and see, that's the thing is, like I did a video on Bibb County John Doe a year ago, but I guarantee it, most people hadn't watched that. And then it gets solved, and everybody's like, wow, look how interesting, But how come you didn't know about it before, you see? Because everybody's focused in on the really popular neato cases, And I know everybody's interested in certain things, but, man, it's so frustrating for people who want to cover tons and tons of different cases.
Exactly. But I gave them my DNA, I gave them my fingerprints, and I kept asking them. Because there were 4 detectives. I think 3 were from Columbus and 1 was from here. And then they had 2 uniformed officers that took my DNA. I complied with everything, and I just kept asking them, what else? I don't give a fuck how uncomfortable the question. Well, did you ever have anal sex with Janice? I'm like, we were not that motherfucking mature at that time. I didn't know nothing about fucking nobody in the ass.
Yeah. So.
I'm 63 years old. I've never done that. I'll lick a little pussy and I'll get this dick sucked, but I ain't never had anal sex. What the fuck is that all about? I'm not no porn star.
So did they? Is this what they asked you recently, or?
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm telling you, they was here a month ago, and I answered every question that they asked me, and I've like 4 or 5 different times. I'm like, get to the difficult questions. Don't think of my comfort, because I'm a gross motherfucker. I'm raw. I am raw. Ask me what you ask me, but don't keep taking the same goddamn question and turn it around and ask me again, because you'll piss me off.
Yeah, my mom used to get mad at me when I'd ask for a cookie, and she'd say, "No, you can't have a cookie." And then I try to rephrase the question on how to get a cookie, and it was still no. And then about the 5th time of me trying to rephrase asking for a cookie, then that's when I got in trouble. All right. So I don't know how many of you guys have had the same experience with your kids if they try to rephrase things. Yeah, just word it in a different way, like a kid. Like a kid. I didn't realize that I brought up that example, by the way. Asking to go to the store.
Anal sex. I said no.
That's funny.
And then they come back and ask me, was like, have you ever got so fired up that you God damn it, it's the same fucking question asked a different way. Now, if you ask me again, I'm going to tell you to fuck yourself and go back to Ohio.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting that they had 4 different people there,
No, I had one guy because I live in Grand Prairie, Texas, which is, where are you at? Where are you located?
I actually live in Oregon, far away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Grand Prairie is another little town right next to Arlington, Texas. And that's where I live. So I have a Grand Prairie address. And they had Grand Prairie detective. And if we need to talk to you anymore, this, that, the other, this will be the gentleman to get in touch with you. And after the questions that they asked and the answers that I gave them, I'm not going to see him no more. I'm not going to see him no more. Because I told you the truth. I didn't go on any goddamn question you asked me.
Did they? How did it seem like by the time it was over? Did it seem like they were not quite as aggressive?
Well,
the
very last.
You know what's funny is the way he said, "I didn't go on any question that you asked me," but that's kind of how he sounds when he's thinking of something, anyway. So it's weird how he imitated himself perfectly.
Last thing I said to them was, I asked them, do you have any more questions to ask me, no matter how uncomfortable they may be? And they said no. And then I said, whoever did this has done this before and has done it since.
Yeah, it's like a serial killer type.
I'm just an everyday guy that has been here since fucking day one. I have not ducked you. I've not hired a lawyer. And I've given you everything physically. Well, are you sure I fucked her Saturday night, I fucked her Sunday morning. Now, if you have my DNA in her anus, it's because it was transferred from her vagina to her anus.
Yeah. Well, I think they're testing. Okay. You know what they're probably doing right now is they probably finally.
I really don't give a.
Well, here, let me just say that. Let me just throw this out there because it might be good. Okay. See, what they probably were doing is you probably never provided a DNA swab before because they didn't have it.
I hadn't.
I know. Well, hold on. Let me keep going. Yeah. So
I'm with you.
Well, so they wouldn't have because it didn't exist back then. So they got your DNA. Now they're going to compare it to the sample that they may have found. And it's probably, then they were interviewing two to see if they can get some more information. But what they're probably going to find out is that it doesn't match the sample that they have, and then you'll be cleared. And then they'll do it's called genetic genealogy, where they take your genes, upload it to a website where they can actually look at family members, and then they track it back to an individual. Okay, so it's a good thing. Here's the thing: is your DNA
I was happy to give them my DNA.
Right, but your DNA.
I feel like that would clear me.
Right. Well, your DNA inside of her isn't nefarious at all. It's just that's how it should be. I mean, you were having sex, right?
She caught DNA every night and every morning. How about that?
Right. So what they're going to do is they probably did collect samples. She caught DNA every night and every morning. Man, that's just that's almost like a line the comedian would use or something. It's just crazy. Samples from back then. They're either going to use your DNA to see if I don't know how they're going to do it, but maybe go check to see if your son was your son. They're going to check. They're going to do all these different things, but that doesn't mean a damn thing. Even if he wasn't your son, you thought he was because they didn't have DNA testing back then. And nobody would,
exactly.
So.
And at that time, on that topic, there was never when these people came here to my apartment and approached me. I wasn't scared. I just came home from work. I had a couple of drinks before I came home to work, and when a guy has a couple of drinks, he will talk. And no, he will talk.
Oh, yeah.
And I talk to them as freely. Now, the one thing that I know detectives look at is your body language. And my hand was shaking. This shit is 40 years old. I'm an alcoholic, and I shake throughout the day, and so fuck you.
Yeah. So, but it could be good news though. So they got your DNA. They're obviously going to be comparing it to something.
They got my DNA. They got my fingerprints, and anything.
Yeah. See, I like to do the interview where I just kind of, I don't have any notes really. I just kind of know the case, so I start talking, and then I let them say what they want to say, and then I might interrupt here and there when I need them to hear something. But, you know, in general, it's just better to let them kind of keep rambling on. There's a couple times where I interrupted too soon, and I think back and like, oh man, he might have said something else right then. But I'm going to let the rest of it's another hour long, believe it or not. So I'm going to keep it playing, but I have to go over to this other computer and have a meeting. But I'll have it keep playing in the background, all right? And that way I won't interrupt, but you guys can keep chatting and do what you're doing, all right? So here we go.
That they asked me, anything that they asked me, I had an immediate answer. Because when you're telling the truth, it doesn't change. That's not a lie that I've kept for 40 fucking years.
Yeah.
Okay? And the very last thing before we broke contact was my question, do you have any more questions to ask me? I don't care how uncomfortable they may come out of your mouth. I will answer them because you cannot change the truth.
Right. What? How did you ever? Are you ever in contact with the? I think it's her, Janice's brother, because I think he was part of that evening.
David was my dude. David was my dude. And at the very end of the day, if you did DNA tests, the 4 children that Janice's mother had were all not related because
other than
David didn't look anything like his father. Sharon, which Janice and Sharon were born a year apart, and they were blamed on a guy named Jimmy. Her father, Jimmy, worked in a body shop. He was a good dude. I knew him. I bartered with him. He never, ever questioned me. And through the years, I went home 2 or 3 times a year. I went to visit Janice's grandmother. I don't know, because I haven't been home in a year and a half because of COVID virus, but every time I ever went home, I went to visit Janice's grandmother, we called her Grandma. I know her last name was West because she lived 1 block over from where I grew up at, from where I met Janice at, and I visited her. And she told me one time, early in the investigation, she said, Stanley, I know my granddaughter, I love my granddaughter, but she was pretty swift. And in those days, being labeled as swift was the same thing as being labeled a thought today.
Yeah.
But at the same time, not once until these cops got here last month did I never think that Brandon was not my son.
Yeah.
It never ever came.
Okay, well, I got the meeting got pushed back to 4:00 because the guy needed to do some stuff. So there you go.
Came across my mind.
Now you're wondering because they're asking you that question.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm telling you this today in 2021 that if we went to Morpovich tomorrow and I found out that Brandon was not my son, I tied his shoes, I gave him baths, I ironed his clothes, and
Yeah, here's the thing is, see, back then, like he was saying, they were 24 years old, they're having sex all the time. And how would anybody know that it wasn't his kid? I mean, there was no DNA testing, there was nothing like that. So it would be a really weak motive, like, oh, I'm just going to guess that it's not my kid, even though we have sex all the time, and maybe you were with somebody, and that one time that, so that's where it seems really like a total stretch for the detectives to think that. Now, did they go there after, maybe actually getting a DNA sample from both and then seeing that? Well, I mean, here's what they're doing. They got a sample from him recently to compare to Brandon and the mother. So that means, and Janice. So now they're going to, after that testing, they would know the actual answer to that, because that would mean that Brandon was not related to him at all. There would be no relation whatsoever if Janice had a child with somebody else. So that swab they took, I wonder if they've exhumed them or kept a sample. I mean, it was so long ago.
the thing that nobody gets is that I had to pick out the outfit that he was buried in. I buried Janice and Brandon together in a coffin that was made for a fat person. My son went to heaven in his mother's arms. Brandon and Janice were buried in the same casket.
Oh, wow.
Together.
That's unusual.
He went to heaven in his mother's arms. And Janice was so fucked up that we could not show her because they had cut off and peeled back her whole face.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, to check the skull. Yeah, I've seen that before. They look for underneath the like a bruising underneath the skull. By pulling back the skin, you can see underneath. Man, that's brutal, isn't it? And then when you put it back, it doesn't look right. Yeah.
No. We tried the shear over top of the opening of the casket, and it still wasn't good enough. And I buried Janice with her wedding ring on. I bought her wedding ring secondhand from a guy that I work with because it had become too small for her finger. So I buried Janice with my son in her arms with her wedding ring on.
See, what's weird is he didn't even have to tell that part of the story. It's like, wow, you bought a secondhand ring from another person. But, it was her wedding ring, and he bought it. And what's interesting is he does tell me near the end that he wants me to send this to the detectives. And I did, because he told me to. He's like, oh, yeah, go ahead. I want you to. And because I think this is probably exactly how he talked and everything that he said to them. I never heard back from them, but...
Janice's mother had a life insurance policy that I paid for that I didn't know anything about.
See, that's weird there, that one.
And I'm telling these cops that came here last month that I had no suspicions, but after 40 years of watching these programs on TV, how women cheat on their husbands or whatever, Janice had a car, Janice had money, Janice kept her mother floating, Janice kept her aunt Diane West floating.
Let me ask you something. I think you've already said that part.
Answer any question you ask.
Yeah, well, let me just try to answer it. Let's see, the life insurance policy that Janice's mother had, how did that come about?
Janice is married to me. She had a life insurance policy through my work, and as I told the police that were here last month, I didn't know anything about it. There were things going on in Janice's life that I did not know anything about.
But how did she create the life insurance policy? So I should have asked right then, what are those things? So that her mom would get it.
Her mom created it, as far as I know. And when she received the insurance policy, she did not pay for it, because it was a year and a half before I got my $5,000 from General Motors life insurance. And her mother received her insurance policy right away. She bought a headstone for Janice that said daughter and grandson. It didn't say that she had a husband or that she was a wife or anything of that nature. And it's a big letdown, because the 2 or 3 times that I traveled from Louisiana and Texas to Ohio, every time I go home, my very first stop is at the cemetery. And it always bites me in the ass that she was the only female in her family that had a husband and had a child from that husband. None of that is represented on her tombstone.
How much was that life insurance policy? Yeah. Hey, Windswept Firefly, what has he just said that made you think he sounds controlling? I'm just asking, because nothing he just said had anything to do with that. For the mother, for Janice's mom.
It was enough for her to buy a car, but I don't know how much it was. It was from one of those guys that comes around once a month with the great big.
Oh, I see. So it wasn't through your work or anything. That life.
No.
Oh, okay. I was kind of confused. Okay.
I had the hire attorney, Thurman Anderson, who went on to be a referee and then a judge, and his wife was an attorney on Cleveland Avenue to gain my life insurance money, of which I paid I want to say $2,600 or $2,800 for Janice's casket.
Why wouldn't he, though, Windswept Firefly? Why wouldn't he want his name on there?
And her vault.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I would suggest somebody maybe look into is it's weird that
what a weird comment.
The mother had a life. He's controlling because he wants his name on the gravestone with his dead wife and child. I mean, what a insurance policy. But maybe there's somebody who knew the mother that knew of the life insurance.
That's crazy, Windswept Firefly.
And wanted to, because it seems like such a bizarre thing to have, you know.
Yeah, and but like I told these cops that came here last month that Janice, over the years, over 40 years, I found out that Janice was doing and did things that I was not aware of. In the fact that
I totally understand what you're saying, Windswept Firefly. You just sound like one of those wackos that when you watch a show, an interview with somebody, you immediately judge. Like, I guarantee it, you thought that Cleo's parents killed one of the parents killed her, right? I guarantee it. You're that type. All this person did was say, hey, I wanted my name on the gravestone with my dead wife and son. You know, like, I want to be part of that. Now, when he dies someday, yes, he'll have his name on a gravestone too, but don't you understand how people would just want to do that? Like, I would feel the same way, you know? You just sound really kind of nuts, all right?
She was related to these broke-ass bitches on welfare and food stamps that she supported. So, like I told them, Janice had a lot of free time. I worked from 4 o'clock in the afternoon till 2 o'clock in the morning.
I'm always like, sweet, Jason. But I'm going to be myself. See, I'm going to be myself always on any show that I'm on. I'm not going to pretend to. If somebody says something stupid like that, I'm going to call it out. I think it's ludicrous. I'm not one of those people, everybody's opinion's good, Gray. You have to respect everybody's opinion. I don't agree with that, everybody. Here's what I think, everybody. You don't have to agree. You do not have to respect everybody's opinion. You have to respect their right to have one, but you don't have to respect the opinion itself, because that opinion up there was pure insanity, okay? It was ridiculous, and I'm not going to respect it because it was dumb, okay? There we go.
Knew of what?
Thank you.
It's like 20 years down the road. I'm working at Yellow Freight on the west side of Columbus, right off of Interstate 70, and I'm talking to this guy. And
yeah, I've said you can have an opinion. I think your opinion is ludicrous and dumb. Okay, that's my opinion.
He was always impressed with me because in those days we didn't have debit cards or credit cards, but I walked around with $4,000 or $5,000, and his name was Richard Page. He was a mechanic, long-term mechanic at Yellow Freight. He and his wife went to Whetstone High School with Janice. And he asked me about her one day. He's like, man, how are you getting along since losing Janice and Brandon? And I'm like, well...
Yeah, hey, here's the thing, Windswept Firefly. I don't have to know you to know that's a ludicrous opinion. Thanks.
My life will never be the same. He's like, man, she was so cool. Her and Brandon used to come over to our house all the time. That was something I never, ever, ever, ever knew. I'm just working with this guy. I don't know him away from the workplace. I didn't know him in high school. I was 2 years ahead of Janice in high school. And so I didn't know him. But and this was back in the days when I was a young dude. I was a player. I was a hard player. And you say, well, what do you mean a hard player? I walked around with a pocket full of money all the time.
Yeah, I believe Stan too. The only part I don't believe about Stan is well, sometimes I don't think people are on the same side, so I don't agree with what Charles and Amy just said. I think that the only thing I don't believe is that he walks around with $6,000 in his pocket all day, every day. I mean, that's a lot of money. I mean, I could see it being 600 and stuff like that.
He'll do.
Yeah,
but
well, probably wasn't that safe to do that. But.
No, I mean,
I think some
that
people.
Was the deal.
See, my thing is, I think some people come in here to intentionally try to disrupt and come up with really crazy. It happens almost every night. They come in and they say stuff that's so wildly against anything rational that they're not on the same page of anybody. So I'm going to call it out, and if it makes you upset about it, that's just too bad. You know what I'm saying?
I'm driving these rides. I'm wearing these fucking clothes. I got the fucking hair. I got goddamn jewelry. I'm not asking nobody for nothing. I'm 20 years old hanging out with guys that are 50, and I got their names tattooed all over my back. Because as they died, when they passed away, when they were killed.
Like telling people, oh yeah, I walk around with $6,000. People are going to be starting to follow around Stanley Beidleman.
I tattooed their names on my back because they are my mentors. They are the guys that grew me up to go to work every day, keep a pocket full of money.
I don't care, Charleston.
Be good to
I said what I said.
And don't let your fucking whore on the side blow it.
Yeah. So what do you think? It's just such a bizarre... There was nobody out there that you think maybe knew that...
Nobody was jealous of me, and I'll tell you why. The reason why that I was loved and respected was because I gave love and I gave respect. I had no enemies. Yeah. The guys that I were hanging out with had twice as much as I had. I had no haters. You know, we talk about haters today all the time. All these rappers.
Well, he says he walks around now with 6,000. I mean, currently, he doesn't have a expensive house. He doesn't have an $1,800 a month house payment or anything like that. So he probably has a lot of, you know, there's no bills to pay, right?
Killing each other because one got more than the other. But in my...
You know what we should do is get Stanley on again. Like do a live show with Stanley. I think that'd be pretty crazy.
Day, everybody looked up to me because if your car was in the shop, it cost $500 to get it out. You only had $400. I was the guy to come to and pay me $25 a week to pay off your last $100. You know, and that is how I operated then. That's how I operate now.
Yeah. Do you still communicate with Janice's sister and brother?
No. And the reason being is because they moved. Now, I'm a guy, my mother died 6 years ago in Columbus.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
And my sister still resides in Columbus. My sister and my brother, my sister's in Ohio. My brother is in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I go to see each one of them 2 or 3 times a year because I'm the guy that has the job to get the time off, has the money, come and hang out with you for 2 or 3 days and come back home. And after my mother passed away, anytime my sister travels from Ohio to Tennessee to see my brother, I go over there and I can see them both at the same time in the same place. And
let me ask you something. Did you ever sit around and sort of think about what, like what might have happened that night? Like if you were gonna.
I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna give you this, and I hope your recorder is on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's on.
When they find Janice's killer, it's going to be either a serial killer and or somebody that Diane West knew that Janice was flirting around with and taking money from, that she don't think he killed her.
Oh, I see.
I'm going to back that up and I'm going to say it again. Diane West is Janice's aunt and Janice's confidant. That's who Janice is out selling blood or plasma or whatever the fuck you call it. That is who she's with. That's who she chauffeured to the unemployment office, the welfare office, the food stamp office, and where she had her little flings. Okay? And if Janice was killed by somebody that she knew, Diane West would know who that person is, but not think that that person was capable of killing Janice. Because at this point, 40 years later, I'm thinking Janice was either killed by a serial killer and or a lover that was not going to let her live out her life with me.
Yeah, but he didn't seem like he was aware of any lover of any kind. I don't know. I mean, it's so... The serial killer one, people who do what happened to them usually are people that do it multiple times. Like, he sexually assaults and kills Janice and also kills Brandon. You know, so those kind of people that do that normally don't just do that one time unless there's a motive in terms of, like he was saying, that it's somebody that knows her. Maybe somebody she was having an affair with. Yeah.
And I hope.
Well, the thing, the part, yeah, I got that. Well, another part that's interesting is, like, you know, you have her over at Janice's mother's house is the last place that she was. So somebody maybe associated with her, like I was saying about the life insurance. There's my dog barking. Like the life insurance
all right.
policy. Like the life insurance policy. That's hilarious. I thought that was right now. I actually turned down my mic. I thought that was blue. And what's funny is they're both looking at the door right when that happened. What the hell? What are the odds? Is Janice's mother, and then that's the last place she's seen by anybody. So then she goes off to the store, and it's almost like somebody knew she was at the store, or it was just a serial killer out and about, and basically probably got into her vehicle and had her drive it to that bridge area. It's actually a different spot. You know?
I'm going to tell you what, and this is a known throughout the family. Sunbury Road, where Janice's body was found at, is a road that Janice would have never, ever, and myself including, would have driven down after dark. Period. Point blank, period.
Is it just
and where
like
Janice
or?
was, it wasn't so much a crime area, but there was a couple of cemeteries, and it was just spooky. There's no road lights. I don't know what it's like now, but the area was maybe a couple, 3 miles from our apartment, but that is a road that I would not have, Janice would not have voluntarily driven down. And the area that she was found, I didn't know that it existed. I didn't know there was a pathway or a road down through there. And when I was looking for her, if I rode my bike down Sunbury Road, I would have seen her car.
Yeah.
But that was just totally out of the question for her to drive herself down Sunbury Road, just like it was totally out of question for me to drive down that road looking for her.
Yeah.
And,
well, in the papers they mentioned something about there's a neighborhood to the west of that where there was somebody like screaming, and then there's this barricade, and they think a car drove through that barricade down the grass onto that path that goes along the river, and then drove maybe underneath the bridge and then left her car down there. It's pretty crazy. You can see it actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when we get to the car thing is, okay, they recovered her car. They took it to the pound. Anytime I was laid off from General Motors, I worked for several used car dealerships. And I know the...
I was going to say, I actually agreed up there with the next comment. One of the other comments that, what's her name again? Windswept Firefly. Yeah, I wouldn't say that Stanley Beidleman is an eloquent speaker. He's just smooth, right? Where he's just kind of, he just says what he wants to say, and he's going through. I mean, when you cuss that much, the word eloquent can't be associated with it. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with that comment.
Used car business. So when her car was impounded, I had purchased her car from a little bullshit used car dealership. I paid for it in cash, got a clean title to it, and I know that when cars get impounded, what's going to happen. And at that time, I'm driving a fly-ass ride, and I'm very upset. I'm not trying to recoup her car. It was a paid-for...
Speaking at Yale, yeah. Well, maybe not. Yeah.
$500 car. She's dead. My son is dead. I'm not trying to go collect that fucking car. Auction it off and let it go where the fuck it goes.
Yeah.
So
been like
never,
2 weeks ago.
Other than the day of trying to get to her and the police stopping me from getting down that incline. I saw her car face down towards the creek, but I never made a single attempt.
There's actually another road right here. I think this used to be a way that you could drive down there. You see this little place right there? See how it looks like that used to be something that you would drive a car onto. I don't know if it's still like that now. Yeah, see? You wouldn't put that there unless that was for a car to pull up on. Does everybody agree with that? I mean, look at that. So I guess, and it's not a crosswalk, right? So it's not like a wheelchair ramp or something like that. It looks like at one point you could drive up that, and there, you can even see this little kind of road down there, and I'm wondering if that's, and then maybe it came down and went like that. Don't really know for sure, but.
To collect her car. I didn't want it. I didn't need it. I didn't want it. I'm 24 years old. I'm 24 years old. I'm 3 years into my GM career. I don't want that fucking car. What am I going to do with it? What am I going to do with it? What am I going to do with it?
Yeah.
And so I never tried to collect her car. And then after that, you know, like I say, they want to tell, well, your fingerprints were all over her car. That was my motherfucking car. I had spent that morning vacuuming the car, and even though we didn't have a water hose, we washed the car and dried it down. And then she took me to my Play Brothers house on Germain Drive in Brittenell to get my motorcycle, and she kissed me goodbye, told me she loved me, and she went her way and I went my way. And I never attempted to collect the car because, again, I was not in no hurt for her car. I didn't need the money for her car. It was only worth a couple of $300, but it ran, it drove, it looked good, burnt a lot of oil, but it was the vehicle for her aunt, her mother, and to do the different things that they did that I was not aware of. And I've done that to a couple of cars since then. I got a car, transmission's out, I'm living in an apartment. They're telling me they're going to tow it away. I can't fix it. Well, tow the motherfucker. I'm gone.
Yeah. Well, I did my last car that I bought. My car, it wouldn't start most of the time, and I drove it out to the dealership to try to trade it in. And when they went over to start it, it wouldn't start, and they just gave me $50 just to be kind. But
I've been through that. I'm a guy that came up in the hood, and I just put in enough time at GM to get me decent cars. And you might find this hard to believe. I've worked for General Motors, making great money for 40 fucking years. I've had one brand new car in 43 fucking years at GM. I've had one brand new car.
Well, you think they would just give you one, you know?
Well, I'm a guy, I'm a realist. Like I told you earlier in our conversation, I've had cars, trucks, vans, boats, motorhomes, motorcycles, and today, in 2021, I drive a 2004 Monte Carlo SS. That's perfect. It's the only car I have. 2 years ago, I had a near miss on my motorcycle, and I sold all three of my motorcycles in 2 years. I don't need cars, women, vacations, boats, vans, RVs, because I've had them all. I'm just like knocking down the last 4 or 5 years that I worked, bringing home $1,100, $1,200 a fucking week. I live in an $1,100 a month apartment. I got car insurance, cell phone, electric, and water. And that's it. That's it. That's it. You know, and so I said all that to say this, that Janice didn't die at my hand, but I didn't know in 1981 that I'd get to be 63 years old, have no wife and no kids because of this event. I don't enjoy anything in life. I'm keeping it real, and I hope you got your tape recorder going. I'm
going to start calling myself the Stanley Beidleman of true crime, okay? Anyways, I felt really bad for him right on this segment right here. Like, he never got remarried, and he doesn't have any children. You know, it changed the whole trajectory of his life, you know? It really sucks.
I'm not far off from ending my life because my life is not worth living behind an event that happened 40 years ago, and these motherfucking cops from Columbus coming at me sideways. And the only reason I continue to live is because if I end my life, they'll say, let's see, he was guilty. He couldn't take it no more.
Yeah, well, if I think you should hang out and let's see if we can, you know, these people come up with an actual, with the DNA, actual killer.
I'm just hoping that the DNA does something.
Yeah.
But like say, DNA transfers, and I'm telling you or anybody else, her mother.
Yeah, what I remember, I actually talked to the detective about it after I sent the audio. I think we spoke on the phone or something, and they're going to try to figure out how. Wow, this light just. They're going to. I think what they're going to do is, see, he's going to have his DNA inside of her, and there might be a mixture. So they're going to have to figure out how to isolate. If there's another they'll check the DNA, and if there's another person's DNA in there as semen, or even any other blood or something like that, then they can subtract it out, and that would be their suspect, not Stanley. So I think that's what they're working on.
Or anybody else that would listen, I would fuck her every chance I got.
Well, everybody was like that, I think, at
Yeah,
that
I know
age.
they can do it.
I'm 24 years old. I'm 20, and here's another thing. Okay, I had money, I had cars, I had clothes, I had jewelry, I had hair, but none of that could make me cheat on my wife. I had women, because of my status in the motorcycle club, just want to take a picture with me in Columbus to send to their daughter, niece, or sister in Georgia. I look at me, I'm with Blue. I'm hanging out with Blue. Because until I came to Texas, I was Blue. When I was a young dude, they just called me Blue. When I got into my 40s, they called me Mr. Blue.
Well, believe it or not, my dogs that everybody loves on my show, its name is Blue. Okay, so.
Okay, and so in the motorcycle world, you start off with a nickname as a young dude, and when you've done the right things, you become Mr. Blue, and then you get into your early 50s. And you're still continuing to be loved and respected, you become Uncle Blue to everybody. And this is, I'm going to tell you, I haven't been home in a year and a half, but I got 5 phone calls today, 3 women and 2 men that thought I was in Columbus, Ohio. Somebody saw somebody that looked at me and said, Uncle Blue is home. It's like, and I'm not trying to blow myself up to be nothing, because I'm sitting here in a pair of bib overalls, a Harley Davidson T-shirt, a cowboy hat, and a cowboy boots in my living room. And everybody has called. They thought I was home because I am a celebrity in Columbus, Ohio. I'm the guy that you came to when you were $200 short on your transmission repair. I'm the guy to come to when your sister's boyfriend has beat her up for the third time. We're gonna go kick his fucking ass. We gonna go grab that motherfucker from the club, and we gonna take him somewhere, tie him up to a tree, pull his pants down, and beat his fucking ass. And I'll admit to that. And I had Columbus police officers come to me at my clubhouse and say, you can't keep doing this and getting away with it. I'm not a nice guy. I'm a good man. And when you whoop your woman ass and she come to me or any of my...
I wonder if people think that about me. That exact sentence. You're so mean. You know, but I'm not a bad person, you know.
Bros and shows us the black eye, the big lip, the broke jaw. We coming to get you.
Well, there you go.
You got your tape recorder on?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm just recording.
I want you to get this shit.
I do have it.
I told you I was gonna be raw. We coming to get your motherfucking ass. You want to beat up on a woman? I got a woman and a son in a grave beat up by some crazy man. I'm going to beat your ass till it bleeds.
Well.
And I'm going to leave you. I'm going to leave you where Parks and Recreation, when they come to empty the trash tomorrow, they will find your naked ass, beat the fuck up.
Yeah, well, that's not that's
how about that? That's the motherfucking truth. You want to turn me into a violent guy? Have your sister call me and tell me or one of my brothers that he broke your jaw Sunday.
I mean, the thing is, I think Chasing is definitely more tolerant than I am of wacky comments. You know, so maybe when she's on here with me, it kind of tempers me down a little bit, you know. So I apologize if I pulled myself out of my regular show, but that's just kind of the way I am. But when you have somebody else on, you're kind of communicating with them, and you don't see all the crazy comments that people make. So
Wednesday, Thursday, they're gonna find his ass.
Yeah. Well, how about maybe I can call you some other time if you know. I
want to talk to you, but you got to give me enough. Here's what's up, and you know it to be true. I get 10, 12 calls a day, spam calls, one right after the other. Oh. And if you're not in my contact list, I'm not fucking answering.
Oh, okay, yeah.
If you text me,
I don't know if she makes me a better
promise
person,
you,
but
if you text me and tell me, this is great, you will hear back from me in 10 fucking minutes. I'm a heavy repairman at the Arlington truck plant in Arlington, Texas. I show up for work because of my seniority and my skill.
You know, the thing is, when you do it yourself, it's hard to revert back to your normal self, right? Like she even says when she comes on here, she acts differently when I'm on here. But I guarantee you, if she was on here by herself doing a show, you know, like it would she was, you know, start doing the thing where she's talking into the camera and doing the rants and stuff that are always funny. I mean, but that's her, right? So that's the thing, is we're trying to find that. You try to find that little, like we like doing shows together because we interact and we make each other laugh and it's funny and interesting, and right. So you don't want to lose too much of your regular self when you combine shows. But like right now, I'm doing this, and I'm almost, you know, you sort of almost forget that. Oh yeah, this is for, you know, because I don't have anybody to banter with over here, right? So. Yeah, well, there you
go. I don't work all day. I watch YouTube all day. How about that?
Well, hell, you can watch my show. You can watch my.
I got an iPad that stays at work 24/7 because the little bullshit I do at home I can do on my phone, and I'm half blind, so I use an iPad so I can see it, and I will answer.
Well, I don't hang out with people that talk like that, you know. Penny from Oz, so maybe not. Yeah, I don't know anybody that actually that when I listen. Yeah, and yes, when we get into it like a political conversation, there's times where I just go, well, that's absolutely ridiculous. But I don't call everybody idiots every time that they make a dumb comment, even though you might think that because that's sort of like the ongoing narrative. I'll just go, that's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard in my life. You know, something like that.
Any question on the subject you have called me about without any fucking drama, but you just got to be ready for it to be raw and real.
There we go. I can see that. That's a reality.
Stanley Beidleman.
I like that though. I like that though. That's how I am on my show, by the way. People just go, great.
No, I'm just a real.
Look at that. I even told him that I'm kind of. I don't cuss like he does, you know, but I just say what I'm thinking.
Motherfucker. And with these people jumping out on me a month or so ago about Janice's death, and Brandon's, I'm telling you, Gray, I promise you, and I'll probably cry after I get off the phone because I probably cry about them and my team members, the people that work around me, that I cry about this probably 3 days out of a 6-day week, 40 fucking years later, because I've been pointed at unjustly, and and the one thing that I wanted to ask them before I decided I wouldn't talk to them anymore.
He's a perpetual
I'm like,
victim.
how would you motherfuckers feel if you found out that I had nothing to do with this? And then they're like, well, what would you do? There's one detective, this guy, he just pissed me off. What would you do if you found out exactly who killed your wife? I said, you find a motherfucker with his nuts cut off and his dick shoved down his throat, hanging from one foot at Hoover Dam.
Yeah. Yeah, you see, what his answer right there was exactly what they want you to say, because we've already learned that, right? That's the trick question that they ask. They'll say something like, what do you think the punishment should be? And if you minimize it, like I knew that they would say that with Don Wells. If you minimize it and say, wow, I don't know, I just want to know what happened, they'll go, ooh, wow. So his answer was like, yeah, I mean, if you see him hanging from a tree with his balls cut off and stuck in his mouth, you know, he was like the exact opposite of. So that's a good way to respond, amazingly. Although I wonder if there's like an overkill level where they go, wow, that's a little too much. I mean, we need, you know, because that's what you get on social media. You know, if you don't say it exactly right, I actually think they should have a class in college that says how to respond appropriately to avoid criticism by the social media lynch mob. Okay, if you're ever accused of a crime, or you have a child that's missing, here is how to respond. They should actually have a class, you know, it's like typing, you know.
Hoover Dam is where me and Janice went to make out. It's you're in Oregon, you don't know Hoover Dam, but it is just a sightseeing.
It's pretty sharp. He remembers
in
names
Columbus,
and where you're
Ohio,
from. Yeah.
where I could cut your nuts off, cut your fucking throat, cut your tongue off, and pull it through your Adam's apple, shove your dick in your mouth, and they'd find you the next day.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, I have to tell you,
I think he's having a couple
that
drinks.
Today is the 10th of the month, and you have allowed me to vent and say what I have to say. And what I have to say, I don't know where you're going to take it to, but it's all the motherfucking truth. And I just hope that it ain't beep, 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 beep when you fucking run it. And I want to ask you if you have any more questions to ask me, because you are free to ask me. I have nothing to hide, and I will express to you an answer that is rapid and is just the fucking truth.
And raw. Hey, no, here's the thing is I understand. I don't have any more today, but I don't know if I'm going to play it like on the air, but, you know, maybe, I don't know. We'll develop some extra questions.
I don't give a fuck if you give it to the cops, because I was able to give it to you in a free way where I was trying to be polite with these motherfuckers, because I just absolutely have nothing to hide.
Yeah.
I was the meal ticket for a long time, and Janice was the meal ticket for some ghetto bitches for a long time. And like I said, I told them, if it was somebody that Janice was seeing on the side of me, her Aunt Diane, her Aunt Robin would know who they are, but would not believe that they would have killed her. Outside of that, it had to be a serial killer. And this is the last thing I told the cops that rolled up on me after work is, whoever did this has done it before and has done it since. And I'm not going to let you motherfuckers put this shit off on me because I was a jealous husband because she had a baby by another guy. Because if I had ever put my hands on Janice, her stepfather would have broke me in half. Till 3 years ago, I didn't weigh but 110 pounds. Janice would have kicked my fucking ass. How about that?
Yeah. Well,
but
that's pretty light.
I quit smoking, and I stopped drinking heavy, and I gained 30 pounds over the last 2 years. And I'm just a guy with 43 years on this job. I have not missed a day of work in a year and a half. I go to work, I go to the bar, I go to get something to eat, I come home, I take a shower, I eat dinner, and I go to bed by 8 o'clock every night. I'm up at 4 a.m.
Hey, you forgot to mention that you watch Maury Povich. Okay.
I'm just telling you, these bitches lie. These bitches lie. You've been with her for 10 years. You got 3 fucking kids, and 2 of them ain't yours.
Yeah.
And I did not grow up in this era of DNA testing and or profiling. And so until...
Wait, what are you guys talking about? This isn't a house right here. This driveway thing here never went to a house. It just goes straight down to the creek down there. There's no houses. This is a park. It's always been one. See, I don't know what you guys are referring to in the chat, but that's not correct. There's never a house in there.
This cop brought this shit to me last month. I never for one split second thought that Brandon was not mine.
That's interesting that I mean, I covered your case probably 4 months ago, just randomly. I went to the the Ohio cold case website where there's literally like 1,000 people on there.
Yeah, but see, they open up Janice's case every 10 fucking years and get everybody riled up. And I got to run back through this real quick and share this with you. These cops, I'm telling them, I only talked to cops twice. But there was a third time. And they called me up, and I'm like, yeah, come on and see me. I called my mother, my girlfriend was there, and my sister was there because like a year after Janice died, I got with another one of my classmates because when Janice got killed, my father and two of my uncles said, "You got to move out of here. You got to move out of here. You got to go stay with your mother until you can find another place." And so I did that, and I stayed with my mother for a month. I acquired another apartment, acquired another girlfriend 6 months later, and they called me and said, "Well, we want to talk to you." And I'm like, fine, come on. I lived at 1663 Weber Road in a duplex. And,
I keep hearing my dogs, and I keep looking around, but they're both napping. That's actually recorded a year ago on the same thing.
my mother, my sister, and my girlfriend, they were there. And these two young black detectives came to visit us. And we thought that we were going to get some good news. And all they were doing was fucking scratching the dirt looking for a goddamn piece of a blade of grass. And so I did not think of that till after I had talked to the detectives. So I told these last group of clowns that came through here, I had only talked to detectives twice, but I actually had talked to detectives 3 times, and they were coming to me to find out what I had heard or what I thought. And so we were, when they left, we were very disappointed.
Let me ask you this. It's a little bit interesting it's interesting that they, because Ohio isn't really that close to Texas. So that means they spent a lot of money to get them down there.
They spent a lot of money to send 2 or 3 detectives here. And they can still kiss my ass. Because they got no more. They got no more today outside of possible DNA than they had 40 years ago. And I'm just so grateful. Because, see, I don't answer the phone if you're not in my contact list. I just got a new phone and a new way to pick up my voicemails. And like I tell you, when I get off from work, I'm going to my bar. And I'm going to have a couple of drinks and shoot some pool and talk some shit and tell some fucking lies. But when I got your call, I don't know. I'm like, I got to check out this new answering machine. And when I heard you was, dealing with this, it was like, oh, shit, let me cut this off. I'm going home so I can talk to this guy. And I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you, but I'm not going to talk to you on a unknown line because I get 12, 13 calls a day from this you're what is that you're insurance or whatever. And I'm like, I drive a paid for car. I carry more money than my car is worth. What the fuck do I need your insurance for? And you made sense. You stumbled a little bit, but you made sense. And so I wanted to talk to you, but I wanted to talk to you online, recorded. I don't give a fuck if you with goddamn Columbus police because I ain't told you nothing but
I stumbled because I was expecting to talk to a person, but then I realized, wow, I've got to leave a message, and I didn't really have anything prepared. So
I don't even have a set up message.
Yeah.
Or do I? Did you get a set up message?
Yeah. Well, it said. Yeah, it did. It actually had your name, your voice on it. It said.
Okay. Because I was just at the T-Mobile last week because during the storm we had here, my phone messed up. It said that my chip was no longer any good, and I could not make phone calls, and I could not make or receive text messages. So when I went to the T-Mobile store, they put a new chip in my phone, and it changed my whole phone. And how I used to get voicemails is completely different. I've got calls from my brother and my sister that I just made amends on last Sunday because I wasn't able to retrieve their messages. And they're just worried about me down here with no electricity, no water, my apartment completely flooded, and what have you. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, oh, no. If somebody's talking about Janice and Brandon, I want to talk to them. And I don't give a shit if you're related to Columbus Police Department, if you're fucking FBI. No. I don't give a shit. You can only tell the truth one way. It comes out the same every time you shit it. It comes out the same fucking way. Whether it's curled to the left, curled to the right, upside down, yeah. You can't fucking change the truth.
But
and nobody's gonna.
I don't work for them though. I actually just have my YouTube channel called Gray Hughes.
And I watch YouTube all day long, every day. I'm a heavy repairman. I work with skills. I don't touch every truck coming down the line. I only touch the ones that have an issue before they go to paint. And so I'm on YouTube all day, every day. I watch Maury Povich. I watch First 48 Hours. And, I'm a detective show guy, which turns women off from me. And they're like, why do you watch this shit? I'm like, bitch, you just don't get it. I had a son and a wife, son and a wife murdered. And I'm trying to see how they catch these people 20, 30, 40 years down the road. I'm 40 years down the road with Janice and Brandon. And, I was all too glad to give them DNA. I was all too glad to give them fingerprints. But when you come into this sexual thing, are you sure you had I fucked her that morning. Fuck yeah, I did. Fuck yeah, I fucked her that night.
Yeah.
And I fucked her a half hour before she dropped me off over at Moose's house to get my motorcycle. So don't give me that bullshit about.
Yeah, I'm glad that Chasing put it back on mute.
Well, she was torn this way, and I don't give a fuck. I fucked her that night with the same dick I fucked her with when she was 16. So if she wasn't tore up at 16, she's 22 fucking years old. Somebody, it had to be somebody else. So don't give me that bullshit.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll send you a text on another time, but I'll see if I can get some more questions and.
Anything that you want to ask me, anything, just text me and ask me to call you at a particular number. I get off every day at 2:00 in the afternoon. Every day.
What time is it over there right now? Because I live on, let's see, what are you, about 7 o'clock over there, right? 7:20?
I don't know. Let me look.
Because you're Texas,
but,
you're not the East Coast. You're
I'm
Central.
in Texas. I'm in. Oh, what is we doing here?
I bet you're 7:20 right now, maybe 6:20.
Wait a minute. I'm at 7:19.
Yeah, 7:19. Okay, so you're 2 hours ahead.
And
so you get off at what time? What time do you get off?
Anytime you need to talk to me, I will willingly talk to you. Answer your questions as soon as you ask me a question, I'm gonna give you an answer because the truth don't change.
Okay. And what time do you get off work?
What it is.
What time do you get off? I mean, that'd be kind of cool to have him on as a guest and just kind of go back and forth with him. I don't know. Either that or just do another interview with him. Stuff normally.
I get off at 2:06 in the afternoon.
Okay.
But again, I'm telling you, I'm old school. When I get off from work, I'm going to the bar and have a couple of drinks, shoot some fucking pool, talk some shit, tell some fucking lies, and then I'm gonna get something to eat and I'm coming home.
Yeah.
But if you text me at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and ask me to call you at 5 o'clock, be sitting beside your phone with your tape recorder, and I'm going to answer your questions.
Okay, sounds good. Hey, and listen, I'm sorry that you had to go through all this.
It is what it is, and I mean, I've been set back for a month or so because this thing is 40 years old, and I really don't know what to say other than that is that here's the deal. If they call me tomorrow and tell me that they have Janice and Brandon's killer in custody, I'm not going to a bond hearing.
Hey, look at all the people in here that aren't channel members. Okay, so you guys need to sign up to be channel members. You know, what we'll do is maybe we'll do a channel members only post so that you can ask questions to Stanley for another call that we might do. But yeah, you guys should join the channel. We'll be doing at some point. We just got to get the schedule where it's consistent. But there's a lot of there's been a lot of health issues and stuff going on. And hell, I'm getting my colonoscopy coming up here on Monday. Yay! I just read the instructions. Boy, that's some good times. You can't eat any solid foods on all of Sunday, and only clear liquids. Yeah, really good stuff. And then you start the prep juice at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah. Well, good for you, niece. All right, awesome. Let's see. Yeah, well, the prep, you can drink it. The only part that sucks about it is that you have to go to the bathroom all the time. But it's not really that bad. It doesn't make you feel weird or anything. But hey, let's get back.
And then when he goes to trial, I'm not going to trial. Fuck y'all. Fuck it. My life has been, I'm 63 years old. My life has been fucked since I was 24 years old. I'm not coming. Because whatever the outcome is, it doesn't change the shit that I've had to walk through for 40 years. It doesn't change anything. Me sitting there with my family and all this bullshit, it doesn't change anything.
Well, hey, you guys, I've had a colonoscopy before. This is my second one. You don't need to give me the... the part it does suck to take the drinks and go to the bathroom, but
You're gonna give him life. You're gonna give him life. You're gonna give him life without parole.
Well, what it would change is that people would realize that were suspicious of you the whole time, that you were innocent, and probably look at you totally differently. Yeah.
Well, but see, at this point in my life, they can all kiss my ass.
Yeah, gone through all those years.
And I'm not mad at you. I'm just giving you what you're looking for, the truth. I'm not coming to a pretrial hearing. I'm not coming to a bond hearing. I'm not coming to a trial. Kiss my ass. But the one thing I will say, is I will pump at least $50,000 into the penal system on hitmen. Make this motherfucker's life as miserable as it can be, and in 4 or 5 years cut his fucking throat. And I can make that happen.
Jeez. All right. Well, that sounds like something a lot of people want to be able to do. But Harold, I'll send you a message next time, and we'll chat. But I appreciate you taking your time.
Somehow there's still another 8 minutes.
No, I want you to understand. I want you to understand that you, Mr. Gray, have set a guy free. I will sleep better tonight than I've slept in 40 years because I got a chance to share my story, who has the ability to share my story with the rest of the world. And I'm just promising you that I have other things going on in my life that
it actually made me feel pretty good that he felt like that.
Make a guy wonder, why am I still living? And you've given me a reason to keep on living. Because when these motherfuckers rolled up on me, I'm like, if I kill myself now, they'll think it's out of guilt. But somebody has heard my story on the real dip, on the real tip, on the raw.
Yeah.
I couldn't cuss these cops out. Because at the time they rolled up on me, I was about ready to start shooting. Because they didn't know. This guy's rolling up on me with his little shit swinging. They wear a little ID on these little ribbons around their fucking neck. They didn't know how close they came to getting blowed up. Because this is Texas.
Yeah.
You roll up on me just with your shit swinging. You got your suit on, your suit coat's open, and your little ID is swinging. They didn't know how close. And I sat there with them in the police car with a goddamn 45. They didn't pat me down or nothing, but they rolled up on me and came out. I didn't know who they were. And but I was cool because I don't have any enemies.
Yeah.
But where I live at and the way that I live, if you ain't got your head on the swivel, your head will be on the block.
Well, there you go.
So
Yeah.
I'm glad to talk to you. You've actually taken a lot of pressure off of me, because if my life ends tonight or day after tomorrow, there's somebody that has Stanley's story, and I hope that you have this whole conversation on tape. I pray that you have this whole conversation on tape. And anytime you want to talk to me, I'm available to you, but it's as simple as sending me a text message.
Well, here's the thing, Stanley. If I play it, I'm not bleeping anything, okay?
Well, this is the real Stanley. You got to talk to the real Stanley.
Yeah, but I won't be bleeping.
I'm a military brat.
Yeah.
I was raised up.
Yeah, because if I was bleeping, it would sound like this. It would be like this. Although that's not really a bleep.
Up with manners. I'm a Christian man. I've eulogized 42 bikers at the request of their family, because no matter how fucked up you are, I can find a place in the Bible where you fit, and I can make your loved ones comfortable with your death, okay?
Yeah.
So, but I had to give you, see, there's Stanley and then there's Blue. Have you ever heard of Blue?
Oh, well, I think you told me about it. Yeah.
That's what everybody in I never became Stanley until I came to Arlington, Texas in 2001. I've always been...
I think he was having a couple drinks after work, so he forgot that he told me that.
...in Blue. Rare blood Blue. I am a rare blood. I am a true biker. I have been a powerful man, but I've been a powerful man in a positive way. You got to help people, you got to lift people, you got to bring people up, and you have to put people away in a correct way. And that's what I've been about. I joined the Rare Blood January the 14th of 1979. I still am a member of that club, and I'm held in high places. But I don't hurt people. I only hurt people that beat their wives and their girlfriends. And I promise you, I have done that. I promise you, I have beat your girlfriend after her sister comes to me and tells me how bad you beat her up. We will beat you up that bad. And I admit to that. I'll go to jail for it. But far as homicide, kidnapping, I can't take that out of there, because when I grab your ass from behind the bar and take you to Hoover Dam and beat your ass and tie you to a tree and let the people come to empty the trash tomorrow find you, I did it. I'll admit to it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll text you the next time.
I know you're done talking
Well,
to
my
me.
wife cooked me dinner.
All you got to do is text me and ask me to call you at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon at a certain number.
See, like that water you just heard isn't really happening right now, although my wife is standing right over by the sink. It's just part of that recording.
And I will call you and I will talk to you. I will answer any question you have of me, however uncomfortable the question might be. I have an answer.
Okay. Well, we'll do it. And again, I appreciate it, and thank you for taking your time. That was a long conversation.
No, but I mean, this is some real shit. That was my wife, and that was my son, and you seem to be more interested in it than the police investigating it. And it's just one of those deals. Every minute you spend fucking with me, you lose fucking with the guy who killed Janice and Brandon.
Yep, I'm with you there.
Okay.
All right.
So, Mr. Gray, just hit me up anytime, and you will hear from me that very same after. When you text me, I'm going to be at work.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna text you back to acknowledge that I received your text, and we will agree on a time for me to call you.
Sounds good. All right,
okay.
Man. Well, have a good one. Have a good rest of the weekend.
Thank you so much. You kind of set me free this afternoon.
Well, no problem. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, man.
All right, have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. Stanley Beidleman. Coming to a theater near you. Well, I guess Chasing never showed up. If you're out there chasing, just come on with the last part and say goodbye. 5, 4, 3, guess not. Let's see. So, thank you to Ashley, Alice Patak, Bengal Cat Mom, Mike S, Bengal Cat Mom again, Height on Lullabies, Jen B, Nelly Bug, Jen B, Charleston Amy, and Life is Short for the super chats. And I don't know if just now, if Cheshire Mercury and Alice Patak became channel members just now, but thank you. Appreciate it. I guess she never was able to come on today. Let's see. Yeah, I hope you guys liked that interview. I mean, that's just kind of the way I do it. You know, I'm not incredibly eloquent when I'm, jump in there because I'm trying to word something in a way that isn't going to sound a certain way or something. So, I let them speak almost the whole time. And, you get a lot more information. I kind of blew it the one time when I asked him what he thought happened. And then I sort of asked him something else, and then he didn't ever get back to that part, but I don't know. But I thought it was pretty good, and maybe I should check in with him again. It's been a long time, so I do have his phone number still, and I'll call him up and see if he wants to do it again. All right. So thank you guys, and hope Chasing's kid gets better. And we might be doing something tomorrow. Hard to know for sure, but yeah, it was very long. It was an hour and 50 minutes. That's how long that is. So, anyways, I'll try to be, I try to remember that I'm on this chat. If I ever do a solo again, that I'm over here. I try to be a little bit different. I don't read a lot of comments I read about like 10% of the comments on my show because I just don't have time. It kind of derails things. You're off into Never Never Land. You know, especially, you know, like if somebody sends me an email like, "Hey, Gray, you got to check this out." Well, I'm right in the middle of a story. You know, you gotta. Is it related? You know, you have to stop, go check your email, that kind of thing. So it's tough for me to do it. But you know, maybe at the end it'd be better to do something like that. But hey, that's it, everybody. Thank you guys for showing up, and I guess we'll see you sometime soon. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Maybe share it with other people if you want, because I think it would be very interesting for people. And we actually did a show on the case like 2 weeks ago. So if you want to go figure out what they were saying in the papers, although he disputes some of the kind stuff, I don't know if, I think the timeline information is correct. So you guys can watch that, and that'd be great. All right, because this story is interesting, and Stanley makes it a more interesting story as well, because he was actually there, and he speaks his mind, and he spoke for an hour and 50 minutes. All right, everybody, thank you very much. We'll see you guys later. And as I always say, be safe out there. And what does she always say? What does Chasing always say at the end of hers? Love you so much. Bye. I think that's what she says. Love you so much. Bye. Right? That's it. Okay. All right, everybody. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.